Hello, Lily. Today's weather is really nice, isn't it?
That's right. It's so sunny and pleasant. Perfect for a walk outside.
We'll definitely go after finishing our podcast episode, okay?
Sounds great. So, today we're going to learn English with Steve Jobs.
Wow, Steve Jobs. I'm so excited for this podcast. He was such a legend.
Absolutely. So, what do you know about Steve Jobs?
Well, he was the co-founder of Apple and one of the most brilliant minds in technology. But what makes him special isn't just the products he created. It's how he changed the way people think about innovation and creativity.
That's so true. He wasn't just a businessman, he was a visionary. By the way, do you know where he was from?
Yes, he was born in San Francisco, USA. But did you know he was actually adopted as a baby?
Oh yes. His biological parents couldn't raise him, so another family adopted him. And look at what he became. Do you know at what age he died?
Sadly, he passed away at just 56. Do you know what caused his death?
Yes. He had pancreatic cancer. He fought for many years but eventually lost the battle. It's really sad, but his legacy still lives on. Do you think he was always rich?
Not at all. In fact, when he started Apple, he was working in a garage with his friend Steve Wozniak. He had no money, but he had big dreams.
Exactly. And when he was fired from Apple, he didn't give up. He started new companies like Pixar and Next. Do you know what happened after that?
Yes. Apple was struggling without him, so they brought him back. He transformed the company and launched the iPhone, iPad and MacBooks, products we still use today.
That's amazing. No wonder he's considered one of the greatest innovators. His speeches are full of life lessons too. Have you listened to his Stanford speech?
Of course. Stay hungry, stay foolish. That quote gives me goosebumps. He talked about trusting the process, even when things don't make sense at the moment.
Yes. And his life was full of ups and downs. He was fired from Apple, but instead of giving up, he came back stronger than ever.
So we are going to learn English through his speech. We'll explore new words and practice with real-life examples.
And not just us. Our audience will create examples too. Without making your own examples, your learning of a word isn't complete, right?
Exactly. Using words in sentences helps you remember them better. So, let's get started.
My biological mother found out later that my mother had never graduated from college and that my father had never graduated from high school. She refused to sign the final adoption papers. She only relented a few months later when my parents promised that I would go to college. This was the start in my life.
Hey, did you notice the nice word, relented? What does it mean?
Yes. Relented means to finally agree to something after refusing at first.
Right. In our speech, we heard, she refused to sign the final adoption papers. She only relented a few months later. That means she changed her mind after some time.
Exactly. Let's try some real-life examples. Imagine this. My dad wouldn't let me go on a trip with my friends, but after I promised to be responsible, he finally relented.
Nice one. Here's another. At first, my teacher didn't allow a deadline extension, but when everyone requested, she relented and gave us 2 extra days.
That's a great example. What about you, viewers? Have you ever convinced someone to relent? Share your examples in the comments.
And 17 years later, I did go to college. But I naively chose a college that was almost as expensive as Stanford. And all of my working-class parents' savings were being spent on my college tuition.
Welcome back, my friends. Did you notice the word naively?
Oh yeah. Naively means doing something without enough knowledge or experience.
Exactly. In our speech, we heard, I naively chose a college that was almost as expensive as Stanford. That means he didn't fully realize how costly it would be.
That reminds me, I once naively thought starting a business would be easy. But wow, there was so much to learn.
Same. I naively believed I could get fluent in French just by watching movies. Turns out I needed to actually study.
That's a good one. What about you guys? Have you ever done something naively? Share your experiences with us.
But then our visions of the future began to diverge, and eventually we had a falling out. When we did, our board of directors sided with him. And so at 30, I was out, and very publicly out. What had been the focus of my entire adult life was gone, and it was devastating.
Welcome back, everyone. Now, let's move on to the next word. Did you catch that one? Devastating?
Yes, I did. Devastating means something that causes great sadness or destruction.
Exactly. In our speech, we heard, what had been the focus of my entire adult life was gone, and it was devastating. That means losing everything he worked for was emotionally crushing.
Oh, that's so powerful. You know, I've had my own devastating moments, like when I found out my favorite store was closing. It felt like such a loss.
That's a good example. For me, it was when my childhood pet passed away. I was devastated. It felt like a huge part of my life was suddenly gone.
I think we've all had those devastating moments, whether it's losing a job, a relationship, or something we deeply care about. It really makes you stop and think about what matters most.
Definitely. But, like Steve Jobs, we all find ways to move forward. What about you, viewers? Can you think of a time when something was devastating for you? Let us know in the comments.
I was a very public failure, and I even thought about running away from the valley. But something slowly began to dawn on me. I still loved what I did. The turn of events at Apple had not changed that one bit. I'd been rejected, but I was still in love.
Hey friends, can you tell us which tense has been used in the sentence, I had been rejected? Take a guess and feel free to comment below.
Yes, exactly. This is past perfect tense. It's used to describe an action that happened before another action in the past.
Right. So, in the sentence, I had been rejected, but I was still in love, we use the past perfect tense to show that the rejection happened before his love for his work continued. It sets the stage for what happened earlier in the story.
Exactly. The past perfect is used to emphasize that one action happened first and set the context for what came next. It's important because it gives us a timeline of events.
Now let's try a real-life example. Imagine I had been rejected from a job interview, but later I got an even better opportunity at another company.
Great one. Here's another. Before I joined this podcast, I had been rejected for a few other projects, but those experiences taught me a lot and helped me grow.
That's a perfect example. What about you, viewers? Can you think of a time when you had been rejected, but it led to something better? Share your stories with us in the comments.
If you found the video helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel.